Hey everybody, welcome back to the Junkyard Dog Report. And today I'm going to be talking about the game last night against the Detroit Pistons. And an interesting thing to start with is that JB started Robin Lopez and obviously also Dean Wade because Lamar Stevens and Jared Allen were out. But something that was cool is that Mamadi Diakite, a fan favorite of ours, stepped up and made it so that Robin Lopez didn't really play anymore last night in that game. And I hope this means he's taken the role as the backup center. We'll see. But, I love Robin, that's Captain Hook. He gets those, as I said, great hook shots. But he's too slow, and he doesn't have the lateral quickness to keep up with the bigs of the modern game. So I think he'd be great in an Ed Davis role, kind of the role Ed Davis was in last season, where he would just ride the bench other than in like garbage time or if Jarrett and Ev were out, he would play, and that was about it. But I think that would be the best role for Robin, especially an older guy like him, to be resting most of the time. So when we need him, he's ready. It would be better. But this game definitely didn't start out the way we wanted. The Pistons jumped out on us early. And, yeah, we're injured, but they're injured too. They're missing arguably their two best players in Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. They also had Bojan Bogdanovic out. They had a laundry list of injuries too. It's not just us in this game. So the start definitely wasn't good. They jumped on us early, put us a 16-4 run on us. And what Okoro had to say, he was talking about grinding it out, but I want to bring up this quote because he also talks about the slow start. He said, your Junkyard Dog said, we just came out slow, didn't have a lot of energy. But, with this team, we have a lot of resilience. We never back down. We never quit. So we knew we had to just keep fighting each quarter, just keep pushing it. We had to start it off on the defensive end, and we knew that would turn into our offense. And another thing in this game, specifically in the first quarter, is that we weren't nearly physical enough. And I think part of that is not just because of the injuries, but because we just took such a brutal loss to the Bucks. I think that definitely is part of the reason we came out slow. At the end of that, not the end of that Bucks game, but the third quarter, it felt like the entire team fell apart. So it probably took a little bit to get it going in this game, but no excuses. That first quarter was definitely unacceptable. The Cavs definitely fought back into it. We had an 8-3 run to end the quarter. Mamadi Diakite came in and gave great effort right away. He got a great block, and after that, they got an offensive rebound. He got a nice contest, but he fouled. He had to. He had no other option. It led to free throws. And later in the quarter, not too long after, he got a block. It was a goaltend, but I loved the effort from him, and I know I've been talking a lot about him. His presence excites me because he reminds me of like if Dean Wade was a center. Like this is what when my friends last night were asking me who's Mamadi Diakite, I told them he's Dean Wade if Dean Wade was a center, because Mamadi is faster than your average center. He could spot up from three. He plays good defense. So, he has a lot of the traits Dean Wade has at his position at the 4. I think the biggest difference between the two is that Mamadi is significantly more physical inside. And something I want to see from Dean Wade on the defensive end is definitely physicality inside, but I don't want to see him playing the 4 anymore until he brings that physicality inside. Dean Wade can play all the live long day. JB can give him 48 minutes in the game at the 3. I don't care. That's fine. I don't want Dean Wade playing the 4 until he can show that he can bring the physicality inside to actually stop the 4s, because he's kind of a pushover in the paint, and he'll put his body on them. He won't let them just get to the rim and get a layup. I'm over-exaggerating a little bit. But, he basically just goes for the body contest. He'll just put his hand up. He doesn't put pressure on the guy. He just keeps them from getting to the rim, which is not bad, but it's not effective. So definitely something that I'd like to see change there. And excuse me. The Pistons beat us 26-20 in that first quarter. So they jumped on us early, 16-4. But then, we scored 16 points and they scored 10 for the rest of the quarter. So definitely some good fight to get back in it after that. But, I feel like that first quarter definitely should have went more our way, considering the fact that we still had Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and Evan Mobley, and they did not have their three best players. So it is what it is. We're on a road trip. Traveling is tough. It takes a toll on the body. I think the most important thing is that this team brought the effort and they kept fighting. But moving on, as I told you, the Cavs finished the first quarter on an 8-3 run. They continued in the second quarter. First play of the game, Donovan Mitchell got a three-point play and kept it going with 11-3 run. And Mamadi Diakite, who I can't stop talking about apparently, continued the run when he got his second block of the game and ran down the court to finish on the other end, which was awesome. Absolutely electric. I wish that happened in Cleveland. I would have loved to see the fans get up for that. Hopefully he plays more so we can see the fans in Cleveland get up for that. And the problem that ended up arising, right? The run ended at about 17 to 7 run overall, including the first quarter, a 9-4 run in the quarter. But then the Pistons took over, and not took over, because this is actually a part of the game I liked because they went on a run, but we immediately erased it, right? So the Pistons went on a 5-0 run. That run became an 8-4 run, then an 8-7 run. Then we erased the run completely. It was 9-9, and since their 5-0 run, it was a 9-4 run for us, right? Then it was 11-10 overall, 11-5 for us if you take away their 5-0 run, 12-11, which is 12-6, 14-11, which is 14-6. Now, at that point, it started going back and forth, so I stopped keeping track of the run. But the thing I loved about that part is that at first I was really upset, like, oh, we're letting the Pistons go on a 5-0 run. What happened to the run we were just going on? But then we responded right away, right? And the problem there was our defense, because we did keep scoring, but they also kept scoring as well. So that's what the problem was in the first half, at least. We took our first lead of the game with 2:35 left in the second. It was 47-46. And at that point, we were on an 18-7 run. Taking off that 5-0 run they're on. So since the 5-0 run, we're on an 18-7 run. And the problem with that, though, is that we gave it back right away, like that. Like with 2:16 left in the second, now we lose the lead. It's 48-47. And we took it back right away, too. We scored on our next possession, made it 49-48. But we ended up down by, what were we down by? I think we were down 6 at half. I think it was 56-50, something like that. Actually, I could check it right here. Just 1 second. It was 56-51. So we're down 5 at half because the Pistons went on a 7-2 run to end the quarter, which, for some reason, we've been terrible at the end of quarters this year, specifically in the first, second, and third. The fourth, I guess we've been a little bit better, but we've also had games where we crumble at the end of fourth quarters. I keep talking about the Hornets game where we're up 10 with 45 seconds left, and that game went to overtime, and LaMelo wasn't playing that game. So, end of quarters, we do have to be better. We shouldn't have been down to this team in the first half, but, whatever it is, you gotta keep fighting. So we kept fighting. We found a way to get it done. So on to the third. The biggest problem I saw in the first half is that we only had 8 assists in the first half, and 6 of those came from Darius Garland, which is like, we're a team that, and I've said this before multiple times, JB said that this team will win because of the team. the strength of the team is the team. And if the strength of the team is the team, we need to pass the ball more. Now, I forgot to say this earlier, but I was watching down here, football Sunday, had some friends over, and, I was taking my notes for the game at 7:30. My friends were just like playing Madden, and I was taking my notes, and they got a little annoyed at me because during the first quarter, I started losing it a little bit. I was just screaming at the screen, like, pass the damn ball, because, we weren't moving the ball well at all last night. We finished the game with, I believe, 14 assists. I'll get to that more into that later, but it was really frustrating to watch our offense not pass the ball, and it was a bad shooting night overall, but I'll tell you why later that it really wasn't, and it really shouldn't have been. But on to the third quarter, we brought some good effort out into the second half. We definitely didn't bring the physicality, which is a problem. This is exactly what I was talking about with Dean Wade earlier, specifically because, something I wanted to see more of specifically in the second half was some more lineups where we had Mamadi Diakite in with Evan Mobley, because, Mamadi was, other than Ev, our best center on the entire team last night because, like I said, Robin Lopez is older. He's slower. You can't keep up with the modern big man. And, he brought effort, energy, hustle, intensity, focus, everything. He was doing everything. He was grinding. Like, I love what I saw from him last night. And that's why, for some reason, I just can't shut up about it, because I'm excited to see what he can continue to do. And I know he's 25. He's not the youngest guy, but this guy's really feeling like another diamond in the rough, kind of like Dean Wade for masterclass Kobe Altman. So moving forward, DG and Don were shooting terribly this game. And, you're going to have games like that. And what JB had to say to DG, what he said to DG at least, or what he said to DG in the postgame was keep shooting it. We know what Darius is capable of. He's proven it time and time again. He just had one night. The best thing about the NBA is you play tomorrow, and we play a really good team tomorrow, but you get an opportunity to go out and, wash this one away and do it again. Hopefully tonight DG is able to get it going, and Don, but we just weren't getting it done. We weren't making jump shots through the first three quarters. We were 3 for 20 on threes with 50 seconds left in the third. We weren't passing it below the free throw line well at all, or even really attempting to, right? We were getting these silly turnovers every time we tried to pass inside of the free throw line and into the paint. So we just kind of started shying away from it. And the lack of assists wasn't because there wasn't any passing. There was passing. There were moments of great passing in that game, but it just happened to be that the guy that was getting set up for a jump shot. And like I just said, we couldn't buy a jump shot through three quarters for the most part. So it is what it is. Those nights will happen. One of the things that I saw in the fourth quarter that I think really helped open the rim for us, or take the lid off the rim, if you will, was Okoro started off the quarter hitting a corner three, which, that's something that we need from him consistently, because if Okoro can shoot the three consistently, then we are very hard for teams to deal with, because a lot of teams will take their big man and or not their biggest big man, because obviously they need him for Jarrett, but in a situation like last night where we don't have Jarrett, they'll put their 4 on Ev, and they'll put their 5 on Okoro and have their 5 just sag off of him because, this guy can't shoot. Just leave him in the corner. Also, we weren't really passing it to him too much at the beginning of the year in the corner in that exact spot. So it made it easier for teams to deal with us. And we definitely came out with that physicality in the fourth quarter. And what your junkyard dog, Isaac Okoro, had to say about that was, I felt like we were being more physical. Felt like at the start of the game, we were just allowing them to get to their spots, not playing with enough energy. So I felt like in the fourth quarter, we started roughing them around, being more physical, getting them out of their spots, and, rebounding. And I even had it in my notes. Well, here we had a 6-2 run to start the quarter. And we took our first lead since 49-48 with 2:04 left in the second, when we took the lead 86-85 in the fourth. So we were harassing them defensively. We had them looking like they were lost at certain points. The defensive intensity was there. The effort was there. We were more aggressive inside the paint offensively. Like I was talking about Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland specifically not being able to shoot the ball well last night. But something they did in the fourth quarter that was huge for us was they started attacking and getting their points at the free throw line rather than going for the jump shots that they were missing terribly. And you're talking about guys who are like 90% free throw shooters versus how they were shooting last night. It made a huge difference on us scoring in general. But something that was really frustrating for me was that Evan Mobley was having a great game shooting the ball, right? He shot a field goal percentage similar to Jared Allen, and Jared Allen, I believe, had the best field goal percentage in the NBA for the entire season last year, or he was like top 3. But regardless, Ev was like 66, 67% from the field yesterday, and they were not giving him the ball enough. I really feel that way. And I understand shooters shoot, right? Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, keep shooting. Don't lose confidence in your shot because you're having a bad night. But that doesn't mean you can't feed the big man a little bit more. I think he only took 10 shots last night. DG was 4 for 19. Donovan Mitchell was 9 for 23. Those guys could drop those numbers to I don't know, 18 apiece and give Ev a nice 5 or 6 more shots. But, I mean, it is what it is. We ended the game, fantastically. We shut him down. It was, I think, the biggest moment in the fourth, other than Okoro's 3, which kind of took the lid off the basket, was when Evan Mobley hit his second 3 of the game. The score at the time was 90-90. That made it 93-90. And we won the game. What was the score? What did we have? We had 104. No, we had 102. They had 94. Sorry. We won by 8. But here the thing is, they didn't get to 94 until there were 14 seconds left in the game. So Evan Mobley's 3, when it was tied 90-90, almost put it out of reach. We're talking about 2 points away from putting it out of reach. So that was a huge 3, which swung momentum in our favor. And we finished the game on a 14-5 run. Now, in my notes, I had it as a 12-4 run, but I got the 14-5 run from Bally Sports, Ohio. So apparently I missed a bucket for the Cavs and a free throw for the Pistons in there. But, overall, a great grinded-out game, a great game where you win ugly. And I could definitely be more cynical. I could definitely rip the Cavs apart for playing this way against a team that didn't have Cade Cunningham, didn't have Jaden Ivey, didn't have Bojan Bogdanovic. But at the same time, they found a way to win, and they found the right way to win, right? They found the physicality that they were lacking against the Bucks that killed us in the third quarter of that game. They found ways to score when they couldn't buy a bucket in the fourth quarter. And honestly, Donovan Mitchell at the end of the game refused to lose. What was he in the third? In the third quarter, I have it here. He was 5 for 16 with 7:36 left to go, right? And he finished the game 9 for 23. So since that point in the third quarter, he went 4 for 7 from the field, along with a good amount of free throws that he got in the fourth quarter. So he definitely was refusing to lose this game. He took over at one point in the fourth quarter, scored 7 straight of our points. Great performance from Evan Mobley. I wish he had a bigger role yesterday. I feel like it would have ended the game sooner. But, great teams know how to win ugly. Specifically, championship teams can win in each and every way, regardless of who's in and out. So, in terms of that, I'm happy. But moving on, there are a lot more quotes I have here that I wanted to get in while I was going over the game, but I guess I'll just share those quotes with you now. What JB had to say about the offensive struggles was, it wasn't terrible, but we missed shots that we typically make, and I thought we did a good job of creating those shots for one another. They just didn't go in tonight. But, give our guys credit, right, for being able to persevere and just find a way. That was part of the conversation in huddles. Like, it's not always going to be pretty, and sometimes you got to win ugly. And I thought the guys bought into that and did a great job of it. And, they definitely did find a way to win ugly. And, I'm happy that the team found a way to win ugly. I just wish we came out with the effort and intensity from the beginning of the game. I wish that we didn't have to not relearn our mistakes from the Bucks game, but I wish that the physicality that we should have learned from that Bucks game took effect earlier in the game rather than waiting until the fourth quarter to all of a sudden get more physical and then, turning it up, rather than coming out in the first quarter with all that energy and effort and just blowing them out of the water like we did last year when we were shorthanded. So it's definitely rough from that perspective, but at the same time, that's something that needs to be fixed and hopefully will be fixed, because we're playing Toronto tonight, and if we don't come out with that energy and effort right away, they'll jump right on us, and it'll be worse than the Pistons because, no offense to the Pistons, but they're not a very good team without their best players, and even with them, they've been struggling to put together wins this season. So, the Raptors are a team we can't come out this flat against at all, and hopefully they'll learn from this and move on and bring that physicality right away, right? Because the Raptors have a lot of big men. But moving on, what JB said about Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell's impact was, they got the ability to go and get it. And when you have two guys that are capable of doing that, you're going to give yourself a chance if the game's close. But I also, it's important to know, like, the other guys too, right? Like, Isaac hit a big corner three. Evan hit 2 threes, so it wasn't just going to be all on those guys' shoulders. I thought we had, other guys step up and really help us close the game out and, help carry us when those guys were struggling. I thought Evan, was phenomenal on both ends of the floor. I thought, he scored well. We've been pushing him to get more threes out of him. He's taking his shots. He rebounded the ball. Like, I thought Evan was really good, and, Isaac's energy as well. And, that's definitely a reason Isaac was your junkyard dog. Also, a new career high in rebounds. He grabbed 6 last night, so that was great. He made every shot he took. He was 2 for 2. He had some free throws, too. That's why he had 7 points. And what JB had to say about, we'll keep it with the Coro. Isaac's corner three was... The good thing about Isaac is he doesn't lose confidence and he takes those shots when he's open. And that's what he's got to continue to do. The only way you're going to make shots and gain confidence is by having the courage to take them. And he's been doing that. And again, I don't know anybody who works harder than Isaac. So with time, confidence, and belief, he's going to be able to knock those shots down consistently. And, I think we should cut Isaac a little slack as a fan base as a whole. I know I've been critical of him. I know the fan base has been critical of him. But the way he's been playing the last few games has been, like, almost perfect. The only thing that he needs to really step up and do is start hitting his threes. And I know it's a little frustrating when you draft a guy 5th overall and his role ends up being the scrappy bench defender. But if he can become a good 3-and-D threat, then he has the potential to slide in that starting lineup and steal Lamar's job. He really does. because he's great at avoiding screens. He takes hard hits every night. He's a really tough guy. I mean, unfortunately, he gets fouls called on him every 2 seconds. But, I mean, that's the game. He gets put on the other team's best player all the time. And usually the better players in the league get the foul calls. But, I mean, Isaac has definitely stepped it up especially during the 4-game win streak. So, over the last 6 games, we're 5-1. Isaac has definitely stepped it up a lot over the last 6 games. And moving on to another stud off the bench, Mamadi Diakite. Yeah, and that's kind of, who he is, He's an energy guy, who's capable of, having a two-way impact, blocking shots, rebounding the ball, running the floor. He's got the ability to make shots, I think, that, on a night like tonight, it's all hands on deck, and I thought he did a good job providing it for us. And JB's absolutely right. Mamadi stepped up big time. I think a lot of us Cavs fans were really excited to see that, and I really hope that JB sees that. And if Jared Allen isn't playing tonight, I hope Mamadi's in the starting lineup. I really do. I want the starting lineup tonight, if Jarrett's not playing, to be Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Dean Wade, Evan Mobley, Mamadi Diakite. And you know what? You could even put a Coro in for Wade, and I would be fine with that too, because Dean did not really bring it last night, which I didn't like. But, I mean, not saying he didn't bring intensity and effort, but when you put him at the 4, like JB was doing yesterday, it doesn't play to his strengths. He's a guy who's a great perimeter defender because he's 6'10", right? He's bigger than most guys who play just on the perimeter. He's faster than pretty much anyone else his size in the league. And, I mean, he's not physical enough to handle guys his size in the paint, right? He's 6'10". Draymond's like 6'7". And if you watch Draymond play, and I know that's probably not the best name to bring up because we all hate him because he beat us 3 times in the finals, which I probably shouldn't bring up. But Draymond's physicality, specifically in the paint, is why he's been a defensive player of the year multiple times. And his ability to play defense on the perimeter too. And honestly, Dean Wade does have the potential to play defense, maybe not on that level, but a lesser version of what Draymond does for this team if he could step up his physicality inside. And something else is like that I was just thinking about when I was reading that last quote from JB is that the words are like very ingrained in the Cavs vocabulary, like the whole team, 1 to 15. Like, I got a good amount of more quotes to read here, and if you're out there, obviously listen to what these guys are saying because they're in the building every day and they know exactly what's going on. But also pay attention to how much they say because every time I'm writing their quotes and I'm watching the post game interviews and stuff like that, it's definitely something you can't miss. So yeah, what JB had to say about closing the game was, I think the guys know their spots. They know how to execute and what we're looking for out of those spots, and the spacing and all those small things that we have to pay attention to. I think the guys are comfortable there now. And then again, you have a bunch of guys out there who can help. And, I mean, our team stepped up big time to close the game, a 14-5 run to end it. No matter how injured they are, I don't care. These players are in the NBA for a reason. We played strong defense to finish the game. I just wish we could have played a complete game like the fourth quarter. Then we would have blown him out early. Honestly, we would have seen a nice bench lineup closing it out. Isaiah Mobley would have got more than 3 seconds of playing time last night. But, I mean, it is what it is. What JB had to say about Evan Mobley shooting threes was, I mean, it's a game changer, Again, when you have guys who can pressure the paint like we do, especially, when Evan's at the 5 spot, now you're lifting the other team's best rim protector from the paint. It's just going to create, easier opportunities for everybody around him and also for himself. Because a lot of times 5s don't want to get out there. So, again, It's one of those things that he works on. He shoots a ton of them in practice, and it's just learning to find his spots there and his teammates recognizing when he's open to get him the ball also. And I mean, like I said before, you can't deny the impact of that, specifically that second three Evan Mobley hit that basically not put the game away, but definitely swung momentum strongly in our favor and played into us, finishing that game the way we did. And moving on to Evan Mobley's post-game quotes, I got a good amount of these too because unfortunately I wasn't able to work them in when I was talking about everything else. But on and on we go. What he had to say about the game was, oh, yeah, it was like a dogfight out there. We kept coming back, and we just couldn't get over the hump for the longest, but we just stuck with it. And then fourth quarter, we just dug deep and finally got the lead and kept it. And, yeah, eventually got the W. And, I mean, it's true. That's what happens in the NBA when you take a team that you shouldn't take lightly. Like, if you look at the Cavs in, 2018, 2019, we were giving teams games where we shouldn't have been in the game. Let's be honest. In 2018, 2019 specifically, that was the year after LeBron left. We were a pretty terrible team, and I watched almost every game that year. And there were times where we were giving teams games where they were significantly better than us, significantly better roster. No offense to Larry Drew, but significantly better coached, all these things. And we would still give them a game because they overlooked us. And it felt like the Cavs did that against the Pistons last night. They saw, no Cade, no Jaden, no Bojan Bogdanovic. Who are they going to follow? How are they going to put up a fight? And you take a team like that not seriously, especially a scrappy bunch like the Pistons, they're going to jump on you and make you pay for it and make it a dogfight. So that's definitely what happened last night. And what Ev had to say about the offensive struggles was we were just trying to stay as consistent as possible, always making the right play. The shots weren't necessarily falling, but, I mean, that's the best shots we could get. So we just try to keep making the right plays and just keep going and staying consistent. And eventually the shots started falling, and then we got the lead. So, and, I mean, he's right. He's absolutely right. A lot of times, like I said earlier, we were making the right plays, making the right passes, but the passes happened to be to guys who were wide open for three, and we were missing our threes like crazy. We were 3 for 20 from three at the end of the third quarter. So those shots definitely started to go in more in the fourth, and that definitely played a part in us taking the lead and winning that game. And what Ev had to say about himself making threes was, I feel good with threes for sure. I've been working on it. It's starting to pay off slowly, but, I was just staying active on both ends of the floor on offense and defense. And defensive end, I'm just trying to really help the guards in the pick and rolls. They're running a lot of pick and rolls, so just help them out and also rebounding as well. So that's what I was really focusing on throughout the whole entire game. And another quote about him making threes, he said, I'm pretty comfortable. Both of those two, I felt really good, and I mean, they went down, so it was good to feel that. I'm just going to keep going, keep shooting when I'm open, and so attack it at the same time, so they have to respect both. And, I mean, that's exactly what we want from him, right? I would have loved to see him take more threes specifically, just more shots in general also, but he was 2 for 2 last night, and if he's able to get the other team to respect his three, the kind of spacing we can do, especially if Jarrett starts to make his mid-range shots once he's back, would be crazy because Darius Garland is great at attacking the rim. Donovan Mitchell, great at attacking the rim. Ev is great at attacking the rim. Jarrett's great at attacking the rim. Lamar is good at driving the rim. Isaac Okoro's strength offensively is his ability to drive to the rim. Cedi Osman, when he puts his head down, great things happen, right? We have a Levert also. We have a lot of guys on this team who, when they get open space or they're getting an ISO and they have the ability to just drive to the rim, or they're able to cut off screen, and DG or Don or Ricky, hopefully when he's back, is able to find them. Good things will happen if we have the spacing for those guys to be able to finish inside, and we'll be able to score more easily in the paint, especially if we're drawing out whoever's covering Ev to the perimeter. So yeah. Uh, and what Ev had to say about his role with Jarrett out was, yeah, I mean, I'm just more at the 5, so in more pick and rolls and more rebounding opportunities, just a little bit more than at the 4. But my responsibility is still protecting the paint and similar responsibilities. It's just I'm more in more pick and rolls throughout the game. And what he had to say about whether or not it was harder for him without Jarrett, he said, I mean, not necessarily. I feel like me and Jarrett have created that chemistry. We've been playing well together so far. But when he's out, we just next man up. And I feel like I can play just as well with the next man as Jarrett. So, yeah. And having that confidence in a young player like him who's, I believe, 21 still. Yeah, he is 21 still. Is huge. Whether or not Jarrett is playing, he should be looking to, find his spots, attack offensively, protect the paint defensively. So whether he's in or out, he should have the same mindset. And I like that. And we definitely need him tonight against Toronto. So definitely hope Mamadi's starting next to him. And he's that next big man up he's talking about. But what I've had to say about holding Detroit to 16 in the fourth was, I think we played a little bit more physical coming out in the fourth, which threw their timing off a little bit and stuff like that. So, and when we got the stops, we came down and started hitting more shots as well. So then momentum started shifting towards our way. So that was just our game plan. The whole time, just staying consistent on defense and then on offense, getting our best shots, and eventually they're going to fall. And eventually they did fall, and eventually we did win. So that was great. I got about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 11 more quotes. Jesus Christ, that's a lot. But I think I could skip a good amount of these. Let me just start skipping around because I don't want to just be reading quotes for the rest of this. I got some stuff I want to say about the Raptors coming up too. But here's what Ev had to say about his role in the offense, and I think that's important because, we definitely want to see him have a more expanded role in the offense. I think it's been tough trying to fit him in because, we have 4 guys, and like Jarrett said in one of these last games, he doesn't dribble the ball up. He gets the ball from guys like Don and DG. So I think it's especially important to get him more involved with Jarrett out. So when Jarrett comes back, Don and DG know how and where and when to find him. So it's, the offense runs smoother, the chemistry is up, stuff like that. But here's what Ev had to say about his role in the offense. I mean, consistency is the name of the game. I'm just trying to be as consistent as possible. I'm always just watching film and trying to get better and attack where I see the best options and just make the best play out of every possession I get. So that's what I've been focusing on, and some games aren't going to be your game, but you just got to stay consistent, keep working, and eventually everything will fall into place. And Ev said he's been getting better because he's been watching a lot of film, especially on other players, not just himself. And I'm going to skip that quote because I basically just told you what he said and move on to Jetty. Jetty was really proud of the team for fighting through adversity and not throwing in the towel early. I'm just trying to take the main point of some of these quotes and move on because I don't want you guys to just be sitting here listening to me to read quotes, especially because apparently the guys didn't want to say 1,000 times tonight like they usually do, which I thought would be nice for you guys to hear because I think it's kind of funny. But on the 14-5 run to end the game, Jetty said, I think our defense and also we rebound the basketball and then offensively, I mean, we're doing the right things, Obviously, Don made crucial shots. DG did his things, but everything started with our defense. And he's right. I mean, Don he went on that 7-0 run by himself at one point in the fourth. He did make critical shots. DG kept the offense rolling, right? The offense was way more fluid, a lot more passing, a lot more assists when he was on the floor. I mean, he had 10 of our 14 assists, so obviously the offense is going to run smoother with him on the floor. But moving on, what Jetty had to say about Ev's big night was, Yeah, I mean, he had a huge game, and we love when he's aggressive. And we know that he's the type of guy who can go out and every night double-double. And I mean, he's a great player. He helped us a lot tonight. He was great. And I mean, Ev was fantastic. The only problem I had in the game was that he only took 10 shots. I believe he was 6 for 10. I would have loved to see him get that number up closer to like 15, especially with Jared out. But, you know, I'd say hopefully that happens tonight, but I think this is a game where it would be tougher for him to get more shots, especially because the Raptors run a lot of lineups with 3 or 4 bigs, but we'll get to that later. What Jetty had to say about Ev making threes was, oh, yeah, we love to see it. I mean, he's practicing a lot, and we believe in him, and, he's got to believe in his shot. And he had like 2 threes tonight, but especially the one he made in the second half was a crucial one. So he's got to keep shooting when he's open, and then it's just going to open up more space for him to play. So, I mean, like I said, he's a great player, and he's got to keep it going. And, I mean, he's absolutely right. And he had something to say about playing Toronto tonight, but I'm going to save that for after I finish with these Junkyard Dog Isaac Okoro quotes. Now, I already said his first 2. His quote on why he thinks he was the Junkyard Dog winner was, I think I was just all around, just playing defense, rebounding, helping the team out in any way possible, hitting shots when I was open, layups, free throws, just doing anything possible to help this team win. And I think this was a great game for Okoro, right? I was talking about this a few videos ago where it felt like at certain points he would get like disengaged offensively, which would then make his defense a little more lackadaisical, which make him less engaged defensively, which overall would just make him less engaged from the game. And over this last stretch specifically, like I said before, these last 6 games, he's definitely picked it up. His engagement level is up. His focus is up. His intensity is up. He's definitely stepping up to the table, especially with Lamar Stevens out, which is why I said earlier I'd be fine with him starting over Dean Wade tonight. And moving on, what do you have to say about Ev's big game with a lot of guys being out? Levert, K-Love, Jared Allen, Dylan Windler, Ricky Rubio, other guys, maybe I'm missing somebody. I don't think I am, but whatever. Moving on. As he said, just an all-around player. I mean, he does everything for this team. Rebound, block shots, score, facilitate. So, I mean, he's a guy we need on the floor each and every night. He's very impactful, so he's a special player. And I agree, Ev is definitely a special player. I just wish we would feed him more so we could give him more confidence in his offensive game, not just for now, but for the future, right? Because he's going to have games where it's not going for him, especially with his shots, specifically his three-point shot, right? So on a night like last night, that's why I keep harping on this. We should have fed him more, because it'll boost his confidence for the future, and it will give him a chance to see when things aren't going right, what he needs to do to fix it, because he saw what went right in the game against the Pistons. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Ev is a guy who doesn't care too much about the amount of shots he takes. He cares more about winning. So maybe I'm wrong to say he should have been fed more, but that's just my opinion. And Evan, as we all know, is a mild-mannered, soft-spoken guy. So, I mean, it's definitely important for him to get louder on the court, specifically defensively, so he can help set the defense and tell guys where they need to be, especially when you're in the back, protecting the paint. I feel like it's more important that you speak up because you could see everything else around you, right? Like, let's say I'm in the paint right now, like, I could see everything, right? I could see who's in the corners. I could see who's up top on the wings. I could see who's up top at the three-point line, so I could tell guys where they need to be in certain situations, so we don't get burned defensively. And what Isaac Okoro had to say when he was asked if Ev has been getting louder, he said he's getting louder. He's definitely getting louder. Each game he's louder and louder. And, I mean, that's what you want to see and hear, because he needs to step up not only as a player on the court, but as a leader off the court, because the amount of potential this guy has. I mean, Darius Garland said this is his team. JB talks about the potential he has. Giannis the other day said Evan Mobley can be better than me. And, I mean, I definitely think he can be. He has the potential to be. But this is also why I'm annoyed with him not getting more shots, right? Because the things that get you better is more reps. And I think he needs more reps to put on more muscle in the offseason, stuff like that. But, I mean, definitely happy with him getting louder. Moving on. Something that really annoyed me from this game is, like, I kept saying it during this video because I wanted to wait to this spot specifically to talk about it. All of us, because, you know, I was in the game thread last night on Reddit. Most of us kept saying we keep missing shots. This is me included. I'm not saying I'm not part of this. We keep missing shots. We can't make a shot. We can't buy a bucket. We, right? Well, this was not the case. The real case is 3 players, only 3, are what held back our entire team. And those 3 players, well, not held back, but they were the ones missing the shots, you know? Were Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and Dean Wade. And usually I do my big 4 versus the rest, and I do still have that, which I'm going to go into later. But I just wanted to talk about this now because it was bothering me a little bit. That, not that they're getting a pass, but that no one is, you know, talking about how they're the ones who sunk our field goal percentage and we're missing all the shots. And I mean, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell are those guys. You know, they're all-stars, our superstar backcourt, arguably the best backcourt in the league. They're leading the league in backcourt scoring as a duo. So, I mean, not hating on those guys at all, but just pointing out the facts here. Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and Dean Wade were 14 for 47 from the floor overall. That means they shot 29.8% from the field, right? The rest, every single player that played other than them. And just for reference, everybody who played scored last night except for Isaiah Mobley, who played for 3 seconds. So I don't count Isaiah. Pretty much everyone who played last night scored. So the rest were 19 for 30 and shot 63.3% from the field. From 3, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and Dean Wade were 3 for 18, which means they shot 16.7% from 3. The rest were 5 for 10 and shot 50% from 3. And, I mean, it is true that we needed to take the lid off the basket. It's true. The first 3 quarters, we were missing, right? Because a lot of those guys in that rest, specifically off the bench, were like 2 for 3. And, like, the one they missed was the one that could have been an assist and made it more than 14. But that's not the point here. My point here is that not that Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell should stop shooting when they're missing. Also for Dean Wade. I mean, he was only 1 for 5. He only took 5 shots. I just didn't want to put him with the rest so you could get a more accurate difference in how the rest were shooting versus these 3 guys. But I'm not saying these guys shouldn't keep shooting even when things aren't going right. I'm just saying that these guys need to also get more people involved when their shot is not going in. Like, DG shot it 19 times. He got 10 assists. So would I like that to be more like 16, 17 shots and those last 2, 3 go to Ev instead? Yes. But specifically, Donovan Mitchell had 1 assist last night. Something he said after the Bucks game was that it was unacceptable for him to have 1 assist in back-to-back games at that point. So now it's 3 games in a row he has 1 assist. So maybe Donovan Mitchell should be getting his teammates more involved instead of shooting 23 shots. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's no way I don't want Donovan Mitchell to keep shooting. I want him to keep shooting in every game. I just want him to hold himself to his own promise that he was going to get his own teammates involved after having 3 assists in the last 3 games. And that's especially crucial tonight against the Raptors, who are going to give us a tough time, right? Specifically with passing inside of the free throw line. And I'm still saving that quote from Jetty for the end because I'm still going through these stats from this game. But I definitely wanted to point out that it wasn't the whole team that was missing every shot. It was specifically these 3 guys that kind of tanked the percentage for the whole team. And we might as well just talk about the percentages before we go into the comparison between the big four and the rest. We shot 42.9% from the field. We shot 28.6% from three, and we shot 84.8% from the free throw line. We were 28 for 33. Definitely a big boost, like I was saying earlier, when you're not making your shots, and Garland and Donovan Mitchell to force your way to the free throw line when things aren't going well, which I definitely like to see. Moving on, I did a comparison to the big three versus the rest. Usually it's called the big four versus the rest because, the big four: Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen. But with Jarrett Allen out, it's the big three versus the rest. So, excuse me. The big three had 71 points. The rest had 31. The big three had 21 rebounds. The rest had 20. And I honestly love that the big three won the rebounding, especially because that puts a lot on Ev, right? Like, there are times where we'll have the big four lose the rebounding battle to the rest, and we have Jarrett and Ev. And I honestly was expecting to see the rest win the rebounding battle in this one too. But, Ev stepped up. He had like 13 rebounds last night. So he had like 13 of the 21 that the big three had. And I know they only won by one. But when you're talking about only one big man in that big three versus the rest, then it's definitely more impressive. Moving on, the big three had 12 assists. The rest had 2. But Darius Garland had 10 of those assists, like I said, and we only had 14. The other 4 assists, other than Darius Garland's 10, were 1 from Donovan Mitchell, 1 from Evan Mobley, 1 from Dean Wade, and 1 from Raul Neto. That was it. And I would have liked to see some more Raul last night. I mean, he got 13 minutes, and we have 2 superstar guards, so he's not going to play a lot. Ricky's definitely going to get more minutes than that when he comes back, but that's besides the point. He brought good energy and good effort, which I like to see. For steals, which Donovan Mitchell has been great at this year, he got the only one for the big three, and the rest had 2. And one was Okoro and one was Raul, who, as I just said, was bringing that intensity and effort. And for the blocks, this is one where, now, yes, a lot of the times teams will see Evan Mobley or Jarrett Allen in the paint and they'll turn the other way. And I know Jarrett didn't play last night, but I would like to see the big three or the big four when Jarrett's back win this one more, because they didn't last night. It was blocks. Ev only had 1. And, I mean, like I said, a lot of the times they see him in the paint, they turn the other way and say, yeah, no, I'm not going to get put on a highlight reel by Evan Mobley and force the shot up. So, I mean, it is what it is. But Mamadi Diakite, who stepped up big time, had 2 blocks for the rest, and Jetty had 1. So that was a 3-1 there. And we definitely had periods in this game where we had silly turnovers, but something that is pretty great is that we were at the league average of 14. So the big three had 8 turnovers, and the rest had 6, which is, I mean, it definitely could be better. There are definitely some situations that to get in that game specifically where we could have cleaned it up. We definitely need to be better at passing below the free throw line. But, I mean, it's an improvement. I'll take an improvement. And moving on to the plus-minus, your junkyard dog, Isaac Okoro, led the way. He was plus 14 in 29 minutes and 57 seconds. He earned every second of that. Jetty was plus 12 in 26 minutes and 41 seconds. Donovan Mitchell, this is probably the most surprising one for me. I thought that specifically Darius Garland and Evan Mobley were going to be above Donovan Mitchell when I checked the plus minuses, but Donovan Mitchell is plus 11 in 38 minutes and 39 seconds, and it's going to be a little while until there's like 2 guys in between until we get to those next 2 that I was just talking about, so you'll see. Raul was plus 7 in 12 minutes and 56 seconds. Madi Diakite was plus 5 in 13 minutes and 35 seconds. And I honestly wish we could have seen more of him, and I hope we see more of him specifically tonight against the Raptors. Moving on, Ed was plus 4 in 39 minutes and 38 seconds. Darius Garland was plus 1 in 40 minutes and 13 seconds. Isaiah Mobley was plus 0 in 3 seconds. Dean Wade was minus 6 in 34 minutes and 29 seconds. And Robin Lopez was minus 8 in 3 minutes and 48 seconds. And something I got to give credit to JB for here, and something I wish he did earlier against the Bucks, was taking Robin Lopez out when it wasn't working and putting in Mamadi Diakite, who brings a different look and energy and feel to the floor than Rolo does. So that was definitely great to see, especially because he was -8 and he didn't even play 4 minutes. Dean Wade, um, I feel like Dean Wade has a tough time when he's not making his shots. I feel like I bag on him a lot because he's not physical enough inside and he's 6'10", but I feel like when he makes his shots, he's a better player, and the problem with that is you're not always going to make your shots, so you got to stay consistent. So I definitely want to see him bring that physicality, especially against a very physical team tonight in the Raptors. And I don't know when Isaiah came to the game. Like, I checked the stats. I obviously checked the stats to get these plus minuses and to do the other stats that I was just talking about beforehand. And I honestly don't remember Isaiah just randomly checking in for 3 seconds in the game last night. But, I mean, I'm not going to call the NBA a bunch of liars. They get those stats. Those are legitimate stats that they give out. So I'll trust the NBA, and I'll just assume that I wasn't looking those 3 seconds that Isaiah happened to check in. But this is the quote I was saying for Jetty for a little while now about playing back-to-back in Toronto tonight. Jetty said, Toronto is a good team, and, they're playing with the big bodies, and I think our main goal will be rebounds because they're going for offensive rebounds. So we're going to have to box out. Everybody's going to have to rebound and obviously run because they're playing with, 3 to 4 bigs in a lineup. So we're going to have to use that in our advantage. But also we got to be careful defensively. And that's absolutely true. I mean, we've definitely had problems being, I don't want to say soft, but I'm going to use the word soft in the paint defensively, especially with Jarrett out. Well, specifically with Jarrett out. I don't think we're ever soft in the paint defensively when Jarrett's playing. But I'm definitely going to be looking at Dean Wade specifically, and I'm going to want to see Mamadi Diakite start because he does bring that physicality in the paint. I don't see Ev go for a lot of blocks when it looks like he's going to get dunked on like Jarrett, but I saw Mamadi go for some blocks last night where it looked like he was going to get dunked on, and he got a pretty spectacular one. And that's something I love to see specifically out of a big man, is not being afraid of the poster, because how are you going to get the block if you're too scared to jump, So I definitely want to see Mamadi start tonight. This team has to come out right away with that intensity and effort. Donovan Mitchell needs to be a better playmaker, specifically tonight. This is a good Toronto Raptors team, a team that in some ways has had our number. I think we won the season series against them last year, or we tied. More likely we tied. I think it was like 2-2, but I don't know if we played them 4 times. So I think it was actually 2-1 in our favor. But the games we beat them in were razor thin. So it's definitely important that we come out fast and we come out with energy, intensity, and effort specifically on defense, because that's where our identity lies. And it's very important that we close out defensive possessions, because that's also a problem without Jarrett Allen out. Without Jarrett Allen out there on the court, is closing out defensive possessions, because you need to grab defensive rebounds if you want to end defensive possessions. And for now, I think that's it. Until tomorrow, because that's when I'm going to be posting my next video about this Raptors game. So until tomorrow, keep scrapping like a bunch of junkyard dogs, all right?